I met Elsie Nussbeck on the very first day of Madsky being open.
So you were the one who was calling us to sign up.
But roofers cannot do more, they cannot do 5 inspections a day.
No professional conduct.
I've been shot at quite a few times. We did not vet contractors. Let's just say this, they're selling their souls.
But in reality, most of the time it's our fault.
It took over my life. I would just constantly be thinking about the next high.
Is Madsky dead? All right, guys, today I have a very special guest, special treat for you, the one and only TJ McCormack. Did I say it right?
Yes.
TJ McCormack, TikTok sensation. We're going to talk about TikTok, we're going to talk about roofing business, and of course, we're going to talk about his story. I would like to start there. Let's talk about what did you do before the roofing industry, before TikTok? What was your profession?
So, you know, thanks for having me, Dimitri. I'm glad to be here. You know, appreciate everything that you do for our roofing community. I'm older. I'm in my mid 40s. I'll be 44 this year. I've lived
like 43 and a half.
well, I'll turn 44 next month. Back in the 90s, I was in the military. I was a Mark 46 torpedoman. On a Aegis cruiser. My specialty was torpedoes. So I got out of the military in the late 90s and went to become a law enforcement officer. Spent from the late 90s into right about 2012 as a police officer, either working private security, armed security in a correctional facility, or as a police officer on the street.
Oh, so you like donuts and coffee?
I do love donuts and coffee, man. Those are my favorite. Like I was just telling somebody the other day, 2 a.m. in the morning is the best time to go to 7-Eleven because they throw away all the donuts from the day before.
do they give it? Do the gas station give it for free coffee for police, or
you know,
is it depends?
Back in those days, yes, but even still today, they feel like as if somebody's giving you something free, they're buying you. So you have to weigh the ethical decisions in your mind. If I take a free donut today, am I going to repent my sins later for this?
I love police officers in this country. Me and Igor was just eating lunch yesterday at this gas station at Houston, Texas, and 2 police officers randomly walk in. I'm like, I don't want to get shot. This guy walks behind us like with a mean face, and they're both like surrounding us. I'm like, what did I do? And then this guy started talking to us, but they're, you know, friendly. They're curious, always checking surroundings, what's going on. But I love United States Police. I never have a bad experience. I mean, I got tickets, plenty of those, but police officers usually was.
It's not the militia. So.
No, it's not. In Russia, I was a taxi driver before I came to the United States, and you know, I have like 50 tickets. You get tickets for everything.
Yeah. And
you know, they pull you over, they invite you to their car. You actually sit at the back while they write you a ticket. And they would name the price, and you would drop it on the floor, and then you walk away, and you're done, and you walk away from the ticket. It's a typical bribe in Russia, crazy stuff. Did you ever get shot?
No, I've never been shot. Have I been shot at? Yes, lots. I've been shot at quite a few times.
Really?
Yeah.
Share the craziest story from police days.
Back in a couple of years ago, or 10, 15 years ago, the internet wasn't available. People would try to find things to do on Fridays and Saturday nights. So I'm from the middle of nowhere, typically. Like we were out at Lake Mankota. Is it Mankota? Minnetonka. Yeah. And it's kind of like a little small town vibe, but people would gather, 300-400 people at a time in a field. And one night we got a report for shots fired at this party, and I'm sitting across the street. It was several hundred yards away, 300-400 yards away, and I'm suiting up in my SWAT gear, and all of a sudden bullets are starting to hit around me as they're shooting across from 300-400 yards away. They see me sitting there, and so we ended up going in. The whole crowd dispersed into the woods, running from every which way, and it just ended up being a nightmare trying to get in there to find out if anybody was actually shot.
Wow.
So, but no, I mean, I've worked my share of suicides, homicides, rapes, domestic disputes, drugs.
How did it shape you? How did years in police shape you into being who you are today?
So years of being a cop shaped me into a person that I didn't even recognize. Nobody recognized. I was a robot. I was trained to be a certain way, to follow a certain rule of law, to write a ticket for this, to arrest people for this, and I felt like a robot. When I was retired out of it, I was lost. 100% in this world today. I'll sit here right now and I'll tell you I didn't know what to do with the rest of my life. I only knew how to be a cop. From being 18 years old, going in the military, to becoming a police officer right after that. I grew up in a police officer household. My mom was a cop.
Oh, wow.
My dad was 20 years in the military. And my stepfather was a school teacher. So we were always follow the rules, follow the rules. And when I left, I had PTSD, and I couldn't function as a person. Literally, the way that I got into the roofing industry was I was poor. 2015.
What was the gap? How did you find yourself? How did you get into roofing? So, you know, what was the gap between two?
January 1st, 2015, I moved to Denver. I was with my middle son's mother at the time, my son Oakley, and we broke up very quickly after we moved to Denver. So I was living from apartment to apartment, trying to find a place to live, trying to find a job back then. You know, even 2015, 7 years ago, money was pretty bad in jobs. If you go work at a McDonald's, you might have made $10 an hour. Now you make $22 an hour in Colorado.
And nobody wants to work.
Nope, and nobody wants to work. But what I did is I was going through Craigslist, and I saw it was a day job for 5 days, and you had to be proficient in Microsoft Word and typing. And I went to this interview at this hiring agency, and they sent me from there to Madsky. I met Elsie Nussbeck on the very first day of Madsky being open.
Tell me about that experience. How did it go with Madsky?
Yeah.
Elsie, I mean, Elsie was OG of this industry.
Yeah. Elsie is still one of the best. There's a lot of people out there in this world that dislike what Elsie did with the managed repair programs. Managed repair programs weren't new. Contractor Connection was around. Nexus was around. There were a lot of companies that were trying to do what Madsky did.
What did you do for Madsky?
I was the network administrator. I was the one that recruited contractors to come.
So you were the one who was calling us to sign up.
I was.
You were the guy who everybody hated.
And I was also the educator. I was the one that was teaching people how to use the phones to do video adjustments for the first time in this industry.
What didn't work for Madsky?
Let's just say this. It's easy to take claims. It's easy to send roofers to adjustments or to do inspections of residents. It's hard to build, and it's hard to complete jobs with other trades. And the problem that we ran into was accounting and production. And when I counsel or coach with roofing companies now, I always make sure that, do you have enough accountants? Do you have enough production team? Where's your warranty team? What are we doing to make sure that the back end of the sale was just like the front end? Because I provide a boutique customer service when I'm selling this job with my promises that I'm giving them, with the timelines I'm laying out. But if I don't have the subs to complete the siding, the subs to complete the windows, to do the roofing or the gutters, I'm lying through my teeth to a customer, and I'm setting that roofing company up for failure. So with Madsky, the biggest problems we're getting roofers to complete production on time within the 10-day window that they were given, and then the accounting on the back end by handling large amounts of claims by line item for line item with roofers who would say, okay, I'm doing this roof, I'm also going to do the gutters, I'm going to do the windows and siding, and then when we get to the certificate of completion, we'd find out, okay, the windows and the siding weren't done, now we have to go back, send that back to the homeowner, and then maybe the roofer got paid for it and we just found out they didn't.
So were you there until end when Madsky was sold to the insurance company, or?
I left at end of 2017. At that time, we just saw Hurricane Maria. That day that Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, Florida, we got 20,000 claims in one day.
Wow.
And I was working anywhere from 15 to 20 hours a day, seven days a week.
Why did you quit?
So I had been training roofers for 2 years in a space that I hadn't ever been in before. I learned how to do inspections on my own. I learned how what shingles do. I learned what hail does to a house, because we were at about a 30% close rate per sale with a claim that it was coming from an insurance company directly to us. It was just being handed to us. And so I went to LC.
Who are we? Madsky?
Yeah, Madsky. Madsky was closing roughly 30% of the deals in the very beginning, the first 6 to 12 months. And I went to LC and I said, LC, we have to train these roofers. And he's like, oh, we tell them how to use the program, right? The Salesforce program, the LiveGenic program at the time was LiveGenic, how to capture pictures and videos. And I said, I can send roofers to 5 jobs a day, but they're not going to do what we tell them to do unless we give them an order. This is how it's going to be, and this is how we want this signed. And so I came up with a script, or we came up with a script, on how to sell the job before the roofer even got to the house. So our call center people were selling the job, basically.
On behalf of the contractor?
On behalf of the roofer. So the roofer would have to be out within 24 hours of us setting the inspection time.
Contractor job would be not to screw it up.
Right. Yeah, we're handing this job to you. Here, go do this inspection. If there's damage or there's findings, right, sign a contract while you're there on the spot.
What was the beef, or if any, with the insurance company? Did insurance companies love Madsky, hated it, didn't understand it? Did you have any pushback? I mean, I understand the contractors didn't like it, but did insurance company like it, didn't like it? What was the feedback from insurance companies?
Yeah, so it was rough. It was very rough. We were doing pilot programs with every single insurance company: Hartford, Met, USAA, Chubb. We were Liberty Mutual, Safeco, Allstate, right? Like all of the major insurance companies besides State Farm. Let's just be real. Liberty Mutual handed us a $30 million check on day one of us being open. And for the 2 years that I was there, we did everything that we could to mess it up. Yeah, we did everything that we could to every insurance company. We would set teams of people in order to be able to handle, for example, the Hartford. The Hartford was great to work with. If you've never worked with the Hartford Insurance Company, top notch. I love those guys. And you don't hear a lot about the Hartford.
Better than Chubb?
You know, Chubb is great, but here's why Chubb's great. Chubb pays a lot because most of their houses are mansions. Hartford handles people that are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, and their houses are still nice. Like, people who pay the Hartford pay a better premium than USAA or State Farm or whatever.
So what happened with the Hartford?
We would do a pilot. Hartford would send us claims. They would ask us questions about those claims hourly, right? The desk adjusters would be like, hey, why haven't we gotten this one inspected yet? Hey, what are we doing here? And the insurance companies would be like, they would be mad. The desk adjusters got to the point where they didn't want to send us jobs because we were messing them up.
Was it response time? Didn't you have enough contractors, or?
Service level agreements, SLAs, weren't being met. And you know, that's just being honest. We had a 24-hour to inspection window. We had a 10-day to build after closing the deal. But we were finding that some of the time purchase orders weren't even being given within 72 hours. Maybe the adjustment wasn't even done for 5 days. So even though we were signing a contract on the spot during the first initial inspection, we were still going back after the fact and still trying to beat our own selves.
Sounds like, you know, contractors constantly blaming insurance companies, but in reality, most of the time it's our fault. It's we are who don't understand the game, or When you were working with the contractors, describe or identify the best class of contractors. Is it the biggest companies, like your Apple Roofings, it's your, like the biggest players,
Sure.
CMRs and stuff, or it's smaller guys? Who was better communicator and better organizer, hungrier?
In the roofing industry, you do have many different types of roofers or contractors, if you will. The bigger companies didn't want any piece of it. And the reason that they didn't want any piece of it is because they were only making 40% of the profit. Typically, if I were to go talk with Sam Struthers right now, Sam Struthers wants 100% of the profit and split it with his salesperson. He doesn't want to pay somebody else for a lead. And that's basically what we were doing. We were paying for a lead minus the material cost. And we were paying 60% of it, or the roofer was. The best customers that I had were the ones that were hungry and they weren't on drugs. Like, honestly, the ones that showed up every day, they had gas in their truck, they presented themselves nicely, they performed well. But roofers cannot handle more than what they say they can. They cannot do more. They cannot do 5 inspections a day. I cannot go right now. I could right now. I could go do 5 inspections today, but I can't go do 5 tomorrow and 5 the next day and 5 the next day because I lose track of everything that I did.
So what's the perfect amount? 2, 3?
The perfect amount for me would be 3 a day. That would be 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and then 1 late.
Biggest problem is contractors cannot say no.
They cannot say no. If you're giving me free claims and I know I can close the deal, I'm going to take them. But I'm also going to mess up everything along the way.
Is Madsky dead?
To me, yeah. Are they dead? I feel like they're, this is my personal opinion, I feel like Madsky is going to be the next Angii. And even if they're not, they're just going to go away.
I'm glad you touched on Angii. Where do you think that is going?
Angii calls me weekly still.
Everyone, they're so aggressive now.
I own a Colorado company with a roofing title, so I get called constantly to come take leads. And I tell them every time, you're going to go down. Have you seen Roofing Insights?
I'm going to go down. I love it. Well, home advisors are going to ruin everything. And as long as they're part of that, they have to dissociate. You mentioned that you have a roofing company with a roofing in the name. Why? But you also work for someone else.
Yeah.
Why work for someone else, not to work for yourself?
So I have a company called World's Greatest Roofer, LLC. We'll get to World's Greatest Roofer here in a bit. But World's Greatest Roofer, LLC was designed after I left working for other roofing companies. There have been a couple that I've worked for. Karina, who's my better half, she says to me in late March, she's a realtor, and I get a lot of work from Keller Williams. And Keller Williams would call me, or she would call me, and she said, I need you to go inspect this house or this business or whatever. And I had several like that this past year where I'd go out, I'd get the roof paid for, and then I would sell it under another roofing company. February the 24th this year, I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore, and I went and got my own license. I was in the process of getting all of the certifications in Denver and surrounding jurisdictions to be able to open my own roofing company when I was offered a distributorship through a private buyer of commercial roofing materials.
Let's talk about TikTok. How did you get on TikTok? What's the back end story?
So December 6, 2020, I had COVID. It was the second time that I had COVID that year, and I was sitting in my basement bedroom, and I opened up TikTok, and I was like, oh, well, this is cool. And all of a sudden, I'll never forget, it was 10:11 at night. I'm sitting there looking at my phone, and I realized that not one person in the roofing industry, nowhere, was trying to sell roofs on TikTok. They weren't trying to represent themselves as a roofing company. They weren't trying to represent themselves as a positive role model or influencer. And I saw Josh Bigger on TikTok, and Josh
He's positive.
Josh is very positive.
Comment below if you like and support Josh Bigger.
If you like Josh Bigger, I love Josh. Josh is awesome. Let me take a step back. Josh is great. Josh, as a human being, nobody would realize that Josh is one of the smartest roofers out there. But he plays a character, and he plays a character that hurts my soul in this roofing industry. And my goal, since I've been a part of this industry, is to take the drugs and the alcohol out of the equation, which is a killer of most businesses, even if it's not roofing.
Why was it your goal?
When I was at Madsky, homeowners would call me, and the very first thing that they would say is I don't trust the roofers. I don't trust anybody. This roofer screwed me over. And you hear the horror stories, right? The non-licensed chuck in a truck. And then I actually had people show up that we sent out to jobs that were wearing beer shirts. They'd show up at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning still hungover. They'd still be on drugs. Like maybe they smoke a joint while they're roofing the house. And it just became, the bad reviews were always from people who were addicted to a substance. And
you didn't do any background checks or anything like that?
No.
No professional conduct? No.
Let's just be honest. There's an application process when you join Madsky. Now, I can't speak for what happened since 2018 on, but back in those days, we did not vet contractors. The only thing that you needed to have was $1 million, a GL, and a license. That's it.
That's sad. And unfortunately, a lot of, especially in the storm restoration industry, it's not only drug addicts, but we have criminals. Yeah. We have people with the felonies who, the most dangerous categories, people who cannot manage money, because now you give them access to millions.
Yeah.
I mean, one roofer can sell $200,000-300,000, like collect checks, and that's devastating blows to all of those contractors.
Yeah.
You know, when $20 million roofing company goes out of business, think about all the roofs they install, but also all the deposits, what happens in the very last month, 14, 15 days, you know, 30 days, 60 days at the end of their career.
And who they might owe.
Exactly. Salespeople, employees, yeah. Crews, but also homeowners.
Not a lot of people know this, and maybe you can help me with this, or maybe somebody out there can help me with this. Roofing company owners, the typical length of a roofing company is 5 years. And I think
it's less than that.
Yeah, and I think that people say 5 years, but now I think it's 3.5.
So 95% go out of business in 5 years.
Right.
But 80% of companies go out of business in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years, 2 seasons, and they're over.
Right.
And usually it's work-comp audits, it's mismanaged bills, it's bills to suppliers. Because when you're upside down, when you spend money you didn't have, so what's happening is they're collecting money. They think, and this is what I explain to roofers all the time, the biggest problem is they don't understand overhead, they don't understand break-even point. So it goes like this. If you have to, like, you know, you grow fast, so you hire people, you have expenses, and you're not counting those expenses. So you might have to sell $400,000 a month to be profitable, to stay profitable that month. Well, what happens if you sell $300,000? Now, what roofers are focused is on a square rate, how much they charge per job. So you might sell 20 jobs, and every single job will be profitable. But if you have to sell 30 jobs, now you lose money on all 20 jobs.
Sure.
And they just don't understand. They don't see it. And then what happens? So you're in deficit. So next month you're better off to sell 500,000 or 6,000. But if they 600,000. But if they don't understand it, now they start falling short with the supplier.
Yep.
Or their salespeople.
Yeah.
And now, you know, they start firing them or get behind on their bill, which is you fire a sales rep, you hire a new one, you know, he might or might not sue you, but that's how they compensate for deficit. The problem is they don't learn from their mistake, and it happens again. And then, I mean, how many people you know who close their business and screw ABC Supply for $1 million or $2 million?
Yeah.
And they treat it like, oh, but I didn't screw people, but ABC Supply is people.
I've been recently dealing with banks and financing institutions for my own business to be able to finance contractors for construction materials. That's one of the very first questions with banks or financing institutions right now is how do you accept payment? And I'm like, I have to take at least 50% of the payment up front because I don't know if that roofer is going to try to, when I order the material and I get the material delivered to them, are they not going to pay me the rest? And then I'm stuck with $1 million bill. So I typically charge 50% up front and then 50% on date of dispatch now, so that way that I don't get screwed and the people don't owe me money, or I don't end up owing my suppliers.
What's your daily screen time?
17 hours.
Consuming or creating or total?
Total. Creating, right, I kind of got burned out from a lot of things in life back in around September. I got, well, we still haven't gotten to the beginning part of how that worked, but back in April when I went viral for the first time, I spent April, May, June, July, August, 4 to 6 pieces of content a day, four live videos a day, and I went viral 10 times in that period of time. I was chasing the adrenaline rush of going viral. I was burning myself out. I couldn't sleep at night. There were times where I would just work so hard at being viral that I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do not do the right things, but I couldn't go to work. I would just constantly be thinking about the next high, and the next high is 1 million views. And so Karina and I have been together since that time. I became famous on TikTok while Karina and I were apart. We broke up in December, right when I first started the TikTok, and we didn't get back together till July of last year when she got pregnant with Sophia. So Sophia's my baby girl. She's gonna be 3 months old tomorrow. So that's my pride and joy right now. But no, September, I had family. I had a baby coming. I had to concentrate on work. And at that moment, Hurricane Ida had just hit. I was also recruiting and selling $1 million roofs. It took over my life, running a multi-$100 million roofing company, being the master recruiter, and then also the educator that I was there, as well as selling my own jobs to make profit on my own.
Do you make more money on TikTok than roofing?
So, yes and no. It's kind of a trick question because my money from TikTok comes from many different ways. It comes from views. It comes from tips. It comes from brands that pay me to create videos. But then you and I had some banter back and forth once before because I also have sponsors. I also have people who will ask me to be their roofer. And then the best part of all this is that I get a large amount of recruits that come from social media because of who I've become. And those people go out and sell many millions of dollars in roofs, and then I would make a percentage of their commission or the commission off the sale.
So you have multiple earning streams, but main one is still TikTok that drives it all.
Yeah, I wish that there was more that I could do on other platforms. I'm becoming bigger on Facebook. I became bigger on Instagram, but YouTube, you're the king of YouTube, man. There's no way I can beat it. And the reason that I can't beat it is because you have to concentrate on one or two, and that one is really the one that you should be driving from to the other platforms. And that's what I do.
What TikTok was for you is exactly what Roofing Insights YouTube channel is for me. The same thing. Like, we have sponsors, we have deals, we have brand deals, but it starts with one, and main thing is the main thing. What mistakes contractors make online? Why other people cannot do what you and me did?
Yeah. So
before you answer this question. Out of your first 100 videos, you mentioned you have 10 viral. How many sucked?
I tell you what. Out of the first 100, say it was 100, it could have been 1,000. But say it's 100. 99% of them. I'll tell you, the only 2 videos that did well during that 4-month span were 2 videos I did with C3. And one video got 80,000 views and the other one got 70,000 views. And the one that got 70,000 views had no business being as high as it was. It had no reason to be 70,000.
It's weird. Like sometimes we can't take credit for stuff.
Right. And there's been some viral videos like that. I had one video had 1.4 million views of me watching a pot, like somebody scratching the bottom of a pot. Like it was a duet style video with me watching this other video, and it went viral. I'm viral right this second. I have a video that's at 1.7 million views in the past 3 days, and it's a video that I created, and it's not a roofing video. And we'll get to the reason why I think the way I do about content creation and my brand, but I don't just create roofing videos. And a lot of people have been upset about that. They're like, you call yourself world's greatest roofer, but you don't always do world or content on roofing. What I found worked for me as an influencer was that I talked about my life. I talked about things that I do every day. Do I talk about roofs? 20%, 25% of the time I'll talk about roofs. I talk about my kids. I talk about what's going on in day-to-day current events.
So you build a personal brand.
It's a personal brand. And a lot of roofing company owners want their brand, their like ABC Roofing, right? If it's ABC Roofing wants ABC Roofing to be the brand. They don't want their sales guy to be the brand. And where I have a problem with that is that the roofing salesman can wear whatever shirt they want. And I'll say this right now. You give me 5 shirts right now, I'll get on 5 different roofs with 5 different shirts today, and I'll never say a word about the roofing company. It's just a logo. And I won't even talk about the company at all while we're signing a contract. I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do for that client. That client's going to buy what I'm selling them as I'm sitting down at their kitchen table, and that we can talk about the warranty that I'm going to give them for 5 years until the next hailstorm. But typically, whenever I'm branding myself in a video, I'm co-branding with a company. So if I'm working for Roofing Insights and I'm doing content, I'll have a Roofing Insights shirt on, or maybe there'll be a Roofing Insights truck behind me, or I'll say, call us at Roofing Insights and we'll come out to your house today. And I become the brand. And roofing company owners or contractors can delegate what type of content that they want their guys or their girls to do, and still be successful. But the days of roofing companies being the face of the brand, I don't think that's going to make them successful. 4 in 10 people follow a person. They don't follow a brand. And
so is that the main mistake, that they're trying to brand their company?
Yeah, they try to brand their company. They don't make it personal. And then they only create content that they think that other people will see, but they make content that a roofer would want to see, not something a client would want to see, or
the homeowner.
Or homeowner. I tell people often, you have to sell roofs at a 5th grade level to homeowners. A homeowner doesn't know what's on their roof. They know it's a shingle. They don't know it's 30 years.
How important is the product?
Not very important at all.
So if success is 100%, or the shingle or a product knowledge in it, 10%, 5%?
5% maybe. I was
going to piss a lot of people. Guys, comment below, in your opinion, and this is the only question I'm going to ask openly, and I want as many people take this survey. Comment below just a number and percentage. What's the percentage, in your opinion, is, because I hear 50% of the sale is the product knowledge. We educate our consumer, and they give them, how many times you walk into the house and there's like 5 different boards by the wall, and I hate it. Like, it's just you clogging. It's all going to be thrown in a dumpster very soon. So comment below, in your opinion, what's the percentage of your success, your product knowledge, in your sales presentation?
90% of your sales presentation should be about you and what you're going to do for that client. The other 10% should be spent on the roofing company, possibly 30 seconds or so. Maybe, hey, I got 5-star review. Here's my Facebook. You can have a look at it, 5 stars, right? And
what's your closing rate with that philosophy?
63%.
63%.
Yeah.
Love it.
And that every time I knock on the door, I'm going to close the door 63% of the time. But also, going back to talking about different types of roofing material, again, just like I can put on 5 different shirts to go sell that roof, I can have an Owens Corning board, a GF board, and a CertainTeed board in my hand. If I put CertainTeed in front of them and say, this is the roof that I put on the best, this is the roof that I've never had a leak, 99% of my roofs were CertainTeed. I sold a Tamco roof one time. I sold an Owens Corning roof one time, but that was only because another roofer had gotten to that homeowner before me and had given them a board with a color that they liked. And
how did it go with the Tamco? Did you like the?
You know what? It hasn't hailed since that. So, but yeah, 2019 is when we did that roof. But it was a big roof. But they put a thunderstorm gray shingle on there. It's a great color. But Tamco stands for Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma. There's no such thing as Colorado or Minnesota in Tamco. So that's where I don't know why they sell them outside of those places, because in cold weather it doesn't work. But we don't have to talk about that.
I want to finish with something said. I didn't want to open it. I kind of wanted, but I didn't want that topic to affect entire interview. I just want to finish with Ben Minchaka. How did it affect you? I know you knew him personally. It affected all of us. Your first thoughts or emotions after he passed away and you found out?
I did. I was prepared for this, but I'm still devastated. I saw your video, man, and I knew right away. And the reason that I knew is because I'd been trying to call him all weekend. He was supposed to be in Denver, and he was supposed to come see me, and it crushed me, man. I didn't cry when my dad died. I'm crying right now on your side because Ben was my friend.
Same here. I didn't cry like for this much in 3-4 days. It's different cry for some reason. It makes you think. I think what he did for entire industry, he united us.
Yeah.
Something I've never seen before. I mean, our industry is crazy. There's so much hate, but I think everyone started thinking about death, what this is all about, the internet, the hate, the bullying. What did you see? I've seen your response to like Gina comment, and how crazy is that? Someone still, even in a situation like that, still can find bitterness. But overall, I would say 99%.
Yeah.
It's good and positive, and
yeah, you know, Ben didn't deserve that. Ben was different. Ben was better than me.
God takes the best.
He does, man, to teach us all a lesson, and to also show us that our life is shorter than what we know of it. And you know, Ben and I talked a lot. A lot of people didn't know, like Ben and I talked almost every other day. Like Ben knew my daughter. Nobody knows my daughter. Nobody. Like we don't like, I'll show videos of her, right? But nobody got a personal video from me saying, "Hey Ben," you know. And
it was special.
you know, he told me about his family. You know, he told me where he came from, and I came from similar, right? I was poor growing up too, right? We didn't come from anything, but we cared about our family. And Ben cared about his family.
His mom especially.
His mom, yeah, his brother Pete has a new little girl that he just adopted, and Ben was like, you know, hey man, one day I want to have kids. I'm older, but I don't think it's gonna happen. And I was like, man, you know, it's a blessing, and we kept it at that. But yeah, things scared me. Like I'm still scared. I'm still shaken to the core by him dying, because I'm not far off from his age, and I'm not healthy. I mean, I thought that Ben going out knocking doors and walking every day and and getting the exercise that us roofers or us roofing salesmen get by going out every day and doing the activity.
It's not always enough.
It's not enough. You have to eat well. You have to exercise. You have to take care of your body as a temple, and prepare yourself mentally, or prepare yourself for death.
Right here, this spot. You know, when we go live, we put that table right here. A couple of months ago, so Ben, you know, I was mentoring him to get into coaching. He really wanted to teach, but he didn't know how to make content breakout. And he would come in and we would record 10, 15 videos. And one day he showed up, and that day I took my family to the zoo. It was Wednesday. So he comes in and is like, "You're not going to be in the office today?" And he already have done a few lives right here standing, and we were answering phone call comments. And I told him, so Igor was here, and I said, "You go live without me." And he couldn't believe it. He's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we can set it up. You can go live. I don't have to be there." He was one of the people I would do it with. You know, you can, and he's like, "You crazy, you giving me your studio." It was like 80 people watching. So I'm in the zoo with my kids. So I turn it on, it went live. I want to make sure it's good. So I put my speaker, you know, we're watching animals, kids enjoying their time, and I'm listening band in my studio, you know, talk. I trusted him that much. And you know me by now, I have high standard. I want to make sure that my audio gets the best interviews, the best people, because, you know, what people don't realize, that, you know, when you're in this position, you pick your topics, you pick your content. I have to say no to 70–80% of offers that comes to me. You know, everybody wants, you know, like at a conference, you start doing conference, people want to pay for the booth, they want to be on a stage. Yeah. People want to be in this chair, they want exposure, people want to do podcasts, people want to, but it's not, it's earned, like, and it's earned by high standard. You know, you don't ask yourself to speak on a stage. In my opinion, you have to get invited. Yeah. Like, I don't call people, "Can I speak at your stage?" and stuff. You have to build a brand that people will want to be part of and invite. And for me, Ben was that guy. Yeah. And you know, I made him to come to me. When I met him at the P.F. Chang. You know, we never met, so I was passing by, and I knew him from all his Facebook posts. Like, Ben, he's the first person who ever called me influencer. He introduced me to his girlfriend, or whoever she was. I don't remember the name, but he's like, "This is Dmitry. He's a roofing influencer." I'm like, "What?" And I said, "I should interview you." And he was hesitated at first, and then a week later, he agreed. He's like, "I think I'm ready. I think I can do it." He was so nervous. Yeah. And the rest is history, because he was not afraid to be on camera.
You know, the very first time I ever saw Ben was on your YouTube. I watch your YouTube because you're the person that everybody that's an influencer in the roofing space wants to be like, right? And I saw that interview with Ben, and I started trying to reach out to Ben myself and learn more about him, because I do have a connection with people that I come across or I meet, and so we started becoming friends, and then we started talking back and forth. Oh, I know what it was. I got my first sponsors last year, and Ben texted me. He's like, "Man, what's it feel like to have sponsors?" You know, I didn't know what it felt like. I really still don't know what it feels like, you know, but
you never get used to it.
Right. And so Ben was like, I got to get me some sponsors. He's like, "Help me out." And he got a sponsor. He had a sponsor this past summer, and I was excited for him, and I was also a little jealous because that guy didn't ask me to be a sponsor me. But Ben was that type that he didn't need a sponsor. He sponsored himself. Everybody else just ate up what he was given to him. And I texted Becca Switzer the other day when all this happened, and I tried to text you. You know, we were all kind of sad about this whole thing, and we're closer because of him, and we always will be closer no matter what, because of what he brought to us. There are some things that the industry needs to do better, that we could all do better. You know, I want to say something. There are people out there in this industry that call themselves legends, or they call themselves legacies themselves before they die. This past week, with Ben dying, he's a legacy. He put in his work. He did his time. He did God's work with those people. The people that are out there preaching legacies and legends, and 10 years ago, they were giving their guys cocaine and alcohol every day instead of giving them their commissions, shouldn't be considered legends or legacies now on conference stages. The same thing goes for
the problem is it didn't stop. They're still doing it. I mean, we have people dying in hotels from overdose because we have use on the stage or behind the stage.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's the role models to have in the industry, and unfortunately, still attracts. It still attracts that type of contractor.
There are ethical questions that I ask myself often, and people will ask me to do business with certain individuals in this industry, and I will not do business with those individuals.
Why so many people do? Because I hear every year people are like, I'm not going to go to this conference, I'm not going to go to this event, and they still do. Because I don't think people realize what supporting them does to them. Every time you spend the money with an unethical person, you're feeding that fire.
Yep.
That fire gets bigger, that person gets bigger, more people get burned.
Yeah.
But people still cannot disconnect themselves. It's like addiction for sales, I guess.
It is addiction for sales. One of the biggest problems that people are telling me that they're facing in this industry is recruiting or education. The recruiting part isn't hard for the right people. It's hard for the people that are always wrong to others. And they go to these events thinking that they're going to get they're going to find people to come work for them, or they're going to find the yellow brick road, and it's really not a yellow brick road at that point. They're selling their souls for the next big high, or an opportunity to take another sales guy's money.
At the end, last question. Yeah. Give advice to the contractor who's just getting started in this business, don't know nothing, don't know players, don't know education. Give him a brief road map.
You should not trust everything that you hear. You should not entertain roofing companies that come after you aggressively right away to recruit you. You need to do due diligence on your own part about that company, previous sales guys, numbers that they're currently doing, bills that they've had that they have outstanding currently. Asking,
what about business owners? Someone who is opening their own business.
Somebody who's opening their own business. They need to have payment plans in place, or not payment plans, but their bank that needs to be able to accept large amounts of money, and then also make sure you have a good production team that knows how to do a proper takeoff of a roof, order proper materials, and then again the accounting, making sure that the right subs are getting paid the right amount.
So accounting is on top of the list.
Accounting is number one. You have to, if your accounting team is bad, you shouldn't even open the doors. If you don't know anything about margins or taxes or how to pay a sales guy, then don't. I think that sales guys just coming into the industry need to know that they should be reading the contract and redlining things that they don't like, because roofing company owners will come in and they'll take their money. The thing that I hate the most in this industry to this day right now is a contract that says that if you leave or you get fired, you do not get paid your commission. I think that that's it's very
often happens.
Yeah, it happens to almost every contractor.
I know it happens on the back end, but do you see a lot of it is in contracts?
Yeah. The one that I signed with a company that I was recently with, their contract, it's a $100 million company. their contract says that if you die, you get fired, or you quit, you're not getting your commission.
Ben Minchaka would not get his commission there.
He wouldn't. And Ben has been through that as well recently.
Thanks for your time, man.
Thank
Guys,
you.
comment below, give it a like. For TJ, if you have any TikTok questions,
World's greatest roofer.
ask question below, and TJ or myself will answer them later.
Can I give a plug real quick?
Sure.
One industry, one model. We're going out on tour, 11 cities, starting here in Minneapolis, July 6th and 7th. We're going to be teaching a finance model,
Sure.
but we're going to have coaches like yourself and other great speakers, Hunter Ballou. I keep telling people, you and Hunter on the same stage, that's amazing. But we're going to be traveling around. It's more for owners and admin types versus sales guys, because we want to dig into your business to teach you how to make more money and not only depend on the storm.
Love it. I'm going to put a link below in the description, also in top comment. See you guys in the next video.